We are here with Larry Linne, an executive coach and one of the thought leaders in the industry, not just for insurance, but venture capital. And we're really excited to have you with us today. So thank you for your time.
Gosh, thanks for having me. And I'm excited with the two of you interviewing me. This is going to be one of my bigger challenges, I think.
Oh, I doubt that. Jason's more of the bad cop. I'm pretty easy.
Well, I think you're up for the challenge for sure.
Good prep.
So Larry, as we start, thanks for coming, first of all, man. I appreciate it. We always ask, what's the first thing someone thinks of when they wake up in the morning? So for you, what's the first thing you think of?
You know, that's an easy question for me because it's real and it's something that I've done for a long time. It's routine, and that's a lot of what you're going to find about me is routine is a big part, I think, what makes me successful. So the first thing I think of every morning, my wife is laying next to me, thank God, and every morning I start my day and I ask myself, what am I going to do today to make sure that I honor the decision that woman made, that she thinks that I was the best choice that she could possibly have in making her life successful. And it's truly the first question. I wake up, I look at her, I think that, and then I think about my day. What am I going to do today that's going to honor her and make her say, you know what, I'm glad I chose this guy. So it just kind of sets my day right. It sets me on the priorities of the things that are most important to me. And then I go from there, and I know you didn't ask the next question, but the next thing that I think of, I usually have a period of prayer, and then I go to my sunroom, and the first thing I do is I look at my pipeline. I'm a guy that believes that abundance, creating more revenue, creating more opportunity, is valuable for my family, it's for my peers, the people I coach. So I always want to see where the next dollar is going to come and where the opportunities lie. And it's amazing that I've always been the guy in any company that I've worked in that has just absolutely produced the biggest numbers and always put up big numbers. And I don't think it's because I'm a great salesperson or I've done anything magical. I think it's because I look at it every day. Every day I look at my pipeline and see what the opportunities are. And then I go from my pipeline to my goals. I see what my personal goals are. Just a reminder of all my goals in my life, my family, relationships, financial performance, all of the goals that I have, and I set every year, modify on a regular basis, and then I determine what are the 3 things that I can do today to move my goals forward, and do something productive around that. From there, I take a look at the calendar today just to make sure it's all lined up, and I rock and roll. So I don't know, it's pretty random.
So you think about your goals every day, like you mentioned, and how long have you been setting goals?
Well, fortunately, and you know, as a young man that had big desires of being a professional athlete, of doing big things in the world, but yet was not considered someone that could do that. You know, I was told by most that I was not good enough to be a professional athlete. I was told by most, and I even had teachers telling me not to even go to college because I was probably a better labor, focused person and whatever it looked like. So early on, I knew that I was fighting against the stream. It was coming against me. The currents were going the wrong way. And I knew I had to put everything in place possible to be successful. And so it started with goals. If you don't have clear goals, then you're just kind of randomly going in different directions. When I have the clarity around my goals, and early on I set them and I would stay focused on them, and then I saw the results of that. And once you see the results, you can't go back. And so I found that goals and then accountability, those things put together create pretty predictable outcomes. So I've been doing it since I was probably in middle school, and it just ramped up, and I learned how to do it better, and I learned how to be more detailed and more specific in the structure of my goal setting and even broader in my goal setting. So it's just evolved over time, but it's been since I was a kid.
Yeah, cool. And I know you mentioned being a professional athlete. Let's just get it out there. You caught Doug Flutie's first touchdown pass in the NFL, correct?
So his first one in New England. We still can't get all the math right on whether he threw one in Chicago in a regular season game or not, but I did, and I was a true NFL guy, not for long. Quick entry, got in around the strike, got to play in the strike, and then I got to hang out afterwards because I think Raymond Berry liked me enough to let me stick around for the full season. Then I got to go out in San Diego and play a little bit. So it wasn't much of a career, but I got to tell you, I'm 62 years old now, and in all of these years, the number of stories and life examples that can happen in a play, in a game, in a season, are things you can use the rest of your life. I love sports because it really can teach you a lot. Jason knows that.
Sure.
When we talk about that transition from sports into life, how is the discipline and the rigidity of schedule and goal setting in sports translated to your business career?
Yeah, I think the word discipline is really the key. I've looked at the importance of discipline because being able to get a business plan executed, being able to stay in a relationship and be successful in a relationship, pretty much anything you're wanting to accomplish, discipline is what keeps you on the course. And I've got a real interesting and deep relationship with discipline. I love it. It pains a lot of people around me at times because they think I'm too disciplined. But you know what? I just believe that it keeps my life simple. Anytime I get outside of discipline, life becomes complex and it becomes harder to maneuver and manage. But when I stay within the ropes and I know exactly what's right and what's wrong for me, and there's can be right and wrong for different people. But when I know what's right and wrong for me and I know what it's going to take to be successful, I'm going to put those guardrails up and I'm going to put structure and systems in place so that there's really not a question of the outcome. It's just whether I'm going to far exceed the minimums, because I will get to the goals that I set, and I will accomplish the things that I need to accomplish with relationships and with my businesses or whatever they might be. And I think the discipline that I gained in sports, and you gain some disciplines by learning how to handle hard things, how to handle difficult situations. When it gets so hard that it hurts and it's painful and it's a challenge, what I find is the other side of that is the greatest joy. And when you fight against those things and you bail and you say, I don't want to push through this anymore. I don't want to do the hard thing today. I don't want to make that extra call today. I don't want to have this hard conversation with somebody today. What I find is 100% of the time, when you don't get to the other side of it by pushing through it, it's harder. It's harder than what the thing was you were going to go through. Because now you've got a more difficult conversation. You've got more issues to deal with. The other side of hard and challenge is where heroes and joy and happiness and all the great things lie. So I kind of like seeing those things come along.
Yeah.
That means something good's coming. And that's what discipline does for you. Is discipline, I think the history of discipline says, I've done it so many times, I can do it again.
So let's go double click on that. And when you say your prayers in the morning, can you pray that I will find more ideal clients? Can you keep me in here?
Brother, I'll throw that in there.
Okay,
man.
perfect.
You've been a good friend to me.
Okay, good. Appreciate it. I need all the help I can get. So you brought up consistency or discipline, priorities of your goals, and then clear goals. I think those three things, because the clearer the goal or the bigger the goal, a lot of times the clearer the priorities or the clearer the path becomes. There's all this competition in people that want to grow by 5 or 10%. But to people that want to double, triple, 10x their business or their team, there's typically only 1 to 3 ways to do it. Yeah. And maybe it seems tougher, but when you have that clarity like you're talking about and the priorities to get to that big goal, then it becomes fun. So I really resonated with what you shared with us.
You just said something that's really important, and that's clarity. And Guffey, I think the majority of business owners and executives and just people trying to thrive in life, I think in the name of simplicity, they become less clear. They try to simplify things down to a point where I'm going to make it three things, all anybody can remember. You hear those kinds of things out there. Yeah. And so people take the approach of simplify to an extent where now what they're trying to do doesn't have all the points of clarity.
That's interesting.
And so complexity is what it takes to get to simplicity. So when you make something highly complex and you say, look, I got to look at all of the details and I got to be very clear about that, then I can bring that back into some key themes and some key areas because I understand the complexity. It's like when somebody, tells me, Larry, you got to simplify. I'm like, well, what kind of car do you drive? And whatever they say, I said, well, you're going to take that back to the dealership. Why? Do you know how complex that thing is? Do you know how complex it is? All the computer systems and all the stuff. That is a complex, you can't drive that. Well, but I don't have to worry about all those things. Yeah, that's because it was clear and it was defined. And then it came back to the simplicity of put your key in or push the button and steer it. And so, businesses, this is where they fail. They will not put the time into the details of the clarity that they need. There are things you must be clear about Because if you're not, people are going to start making things up. And when they make things up, they're going to be wrong. And it's probably not going to be in alignment with what you think. And so whether it's clarity of a business, clarity of my own goals, clarity of what I want to get accomplished, and to your point, you know why most people can't get to the 10X or the 20X? Because they want to keep doing the same things harder, and they want to work harder. It's never the answer. The answer is bring complexity to understand how you get there, simplify that, and then go execute.
I know one of the simplest things you can do, if you would, is identifying your highest and best use of time.
Yeah.
Oftentimes comes from complex solutions or complex problems, but identifying your highest and best use of time. Talk to us more about how you go about that, what your process looks like, and that structure you put together. You talk about how that's improved and given you more productivity and time back.
Yeah, the more time I spend on understanding highest and best use of time and talent, the more inadequate I feel. I feel like I'm still not there. And you know, it used to be do that once a year, you know, put your list out there. And the way I did it, it was strategic coach program out of Toronto was someone that originally taught the concept to me. And so what I would do is I would write down everything that I'm poor at, I shouldn't do. And it's very clear to me, anything mechanical, if there's a copy machine broke, do not put me near it. Matter of fact, don't let me get near a copy machine, I'll break it. So there's things you're poor at. Then there's things you're good at, which you can do them, but so can anybody else. Then there's things you're excellent at that people say, hey, you know, praise you for this, and you've got all these talents, and well, you can do that really well. But there's still others that can do it. And then highest and best use is, you know, if that's all I did, could I potentially compete to be the best in the world or best in my market or best in my company or whatever those things might be. And so I used to do that once a year. And then throughout the year, I'd try to figure, you know, whenever I had time, figure out what it looked like. Then I got to where I was doing it quarterly. Then I got to where I was doing it monthly. And now I think about it all the time. And one of the things that I find in the midst of that is the harder I work towards what highest and best use, my speaking, my problem solving, my strategic mind and being able to use that effectively with people, properly motivating and inspiring people to accomplish things. These are my highest and best use items. I mean, they stand out, they're clear. But the more I try to do those, I can't do more of it. So I finally realized the flip of that is I got to start giving things away. I got to stop doing things. And it's been recently that I've looked at the world and the people that I coach and advise and guide through their business lives. What I'm realizing is we are defined, our excelling and our greatness and the wonderful things that happen in our life are more defined by what we gave up than what we did. And yes, we see what we did. That's the surface. That's the wide receiver catching the pass. But the offensive line and the coaches and the strategy and all the stuff that had to happen before you catch that pass in the end zone, that piece back there, that's giving things away. Because if I don't stop doing something, I don't have the time to do more of what I should do. I can't just do that harder, work harder. It's not sustainable. So I've now shifted to where I spend more time focusing on what I am not going to do anymore. What can I give away? What can I stop doing? And because I think I've spent a lot of time on highest and best use for a long period of time, I know where to go. And I'm going to go where my energy is and where I'm excited. So it's now taking me there faster than I think a lot of people who spend so much time going, I need to get more of this highest and best use, but they can't because they've got all these other things that are saying you can't because you're still doing these things. So it's what you give away, Jason.
You have to
I think that's the
sacrifice
key.
anything to get to your highest and best use.
That's right. You got to, and you start by giving away the things I'm poor at. That's easy.
Right.
Then you start giving away the things you're good at, and that's a little harder because people tell you, man, you're good at that, Jason. Coffee, man, I like it when you do that. But you know what? That's not your highest and best use. So you got to sometimes go, even though I just got praised for that, even though people love it, I'm going to move on. And I'm going to go over here to what I'm excellent at. Now, excellent, those become really hard to give away, really hard. And I just had this happen just in the last week. I was at an event, I had 211 executives at this event. It was a full day of training. At the end of the day, we were having a conversation with one of the other executives, and I said, look, I'm 62. I'm not going to do this forever. And the executive said, you are so talented at this, you can't stop. I said, oh, you don't know me. I can stop. She goes, no. I didn't say you can't. She's saying you can't because the world needs what you're doing. And I said, I hear you, but what I did today is not really my highest and best use. I'm excellent at it, but I've got to be able to move on because what I could do in the other space could even be greater. That's hard when people think, we want to go where we're praised and where we're loved. And to walk away from some of those things to do things that are even greater, that's what the elite accomplish.
Yeah. So, personal story with Larry, I came to you one time and I was burnt out. I was just working harder, grinding harder, and trying to do the same thing, but just more energy and effort. And I asked you, I said, I'm burnt out. What do I need to change? And you mentioned that you have to give something up and deepen your why. And that's kind of how you
100%.
You level up. And then you just mentioned, what you say no to. Actually, I agree with you. That points you to it'll show you what you're actually committed to.
Yeah.
What you say no to, right?
That's right.
It's a lot easier to say yes to a lot of things. And so.
But if you don't, the way we started the conversation, I started my day. If I don't start my day with remembering my number one goal is to make sure that woman that's next to me, that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do to honor her decision that I'm the best choice she could make.
Yeah.
Good Lord, I look around the room all the time and I'm not the best choice. I got to find something.
Yeah.
But then you go to your goals and this stuff becomes easy when you're in tune with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard when you lose focus and what's really important and you let ego get in the way, you let scarcity get in the way. It's not as easy as it sounds when Larry Linne says it.
So what are some things you've seen executives give up? I mean, is it golf? Is it, team members? Is it what are some things you've worked with a lot of high performers? What do you see them kind of give up?
Yeah, the low hanging fruit is administrative type of things. They'll give away more things that they do outside of work. And I don't know that it's necessarily golf. It could be. If you're not good at it and you're not really bringing a lot of value and you don't enjoy it, you should get rid of it. Don't do it. But it's more of, little things, sometimes like even mowing the lawn. Yeah. If you're still, I've got a big property and I like mowing my lawn, but my wife reminds me at times, there's other things that you want to work on your fitness and your health and other things out there. And so is it the highest and best use? Or I'm just excellent at mowing a lawn. Let me tell you, you watch me on a lawnmower, baby. I'm excellent at it. But it's not my highest and best use. So I got to get rid of that. And I got to get rid of a lot of the service things that I do for myself. And I've even seen some people hire personal assistants outside of their company. Yeah. Inside of the company, they've got all their staff, but they're saying, I need more. So they on their own will write a check to pay for an outside assistant to take care of a lot of the errands and the things that they do and their finances. And it just, that's the kind of stuff you got to get rid of. But for me, it's choices, even sometimes of travel. I can go places and I'm blessed. Anytime I go somewhere and speak, I get a lot of praise and I get a lot of appreciation. But I have to look at each event now and say, is it worth it? Is that event the highest and best use of my time for what I can do? Because that's usually 2-3 days, I'm gone. What could I do in that same time frame? What could I accomplish? What intellectual property could I develop? Who could I advise and create great value for them? Could I do in my own company? Those are decisions that it gets hard to start giving away a trip to speak or certain things that I like to do in the business, but it's not my highest and best use.
Love it. You've talked a lot about scarcity versus abundance. And I think a lot of the things we're talking about kind of goes right in there. Because I think some of our people that are listening might think, how do I execute? Or they have roadblocks or weight that maybe they're feeling that everything sounds good, but then they're just like, how do I do this? And I think it might be the mindset. That could be a portion of it that you talk a lot about and that has helped me. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, we could have a series on abundance and scarcity. And I know because I've spoken to both of you guys about it, and you guys are as much abundance as anybody I've ever dealt with. But it starts with scarcity and realizing where scarcity exists and what it looks like. And scarcity usually starts with thinking there's a zero-sum game, that there's just a set fixed amount of something, and I've got to fight for my portion of it. And even when we talk about the wages and not so much wages, sometimes it is, but wealth and wealth creation. People get upset when somebody's making a lot more money. Well, if they're making a lot more money and they took it from you, that's bad. When they're making a lot more money because there's more money, that's abundance. I mean, it's more. Let's create more for everybody. And just understanding that we're not playing zero-sum games in most cases. Now, where we do, we got to manage that. But when it's a world of it's growing, the pie gets bigger, we can accomplish more abundance. That's when we get healthy. But scarcity is saying, I'm afraid I'm going to lose something. I'm afraid you're taking something from me. And we even have a lot of mindlessness out there of people that assume because somebody looks better than them or dressed better or whatever, that they're taking something from them. Well, it has nothing to do with you. And so we just becoming mindful in the world of recognizing that we're in a space that we can create whatever we want to create. We need to create more. That's abundance. Scarcity says, I have to fight for what's mine. I have to fight for what I need within myself. And when you look outside of that and realize that if you work with a other's mind and a company mind and what we could create, what if the pie got bigger and your percentage is smaller, but you're making more money and you're having more success? I learned this early on in my business career when we had an actual commission reduction within the firm that I was in, a compensation for producers. And, everybody was, at a number. I won't say the number because it's irrelevant to a lot of the listeners today, but the number was a number that was pretty standard in the market. And that's where most of our producers were. Mm-hmm. And we had created something that would be new tools, new resources, new staff, et cetera, for our team to be able to accomplish more. But they were pretty full with their time. But they didn't want their commission percent to change. So we convinced them, we're going to drop your percentages. And by dropping the percentages and reallocating the assets and the funds, we were able to put more resources in place and tools that all of a sudden we had people that grew by 10 times. Mm-hmm. 10 times at a little bit smaller commission. They made a lot more money. And, I usually tell people, that get in these mindsets of fighting for percentages versus the dollars. Mm-hmm. I always ask them, when you go to the grocery store, how many percent is a gallon of milk? And they always look at me like I lost my mind. And I say, yeah, and that's the way I feel about you thinking percentages are what you're fighting for. You're fighting for the dollars. And so, there's a lot of places in the world. It's not just commissions. It's not just dollars. It's in family life. It's feeling that somebody's taking something from you when they're good at something. You got to realize that we live in a world that we do have capabilities of creating more in most cases. And so a bigger pie is a bigger pie. And I don't have to worry about whether my slice of pie at Thanksgiving is a quarter slice or not. If there's 8 pies, it doesn't matter. There's going to be more than we can eat. So eat what you need to eat, but you got to think that way first.
Yeah. That fear is an irrational emotion.
It is.
It's something that doesn't or shouldn't exist, right?
I think, fear is there from a safety perspective. It's there to protect us. And I get that it exists, but it's mostly, in the majority of times that we face it, it's irrational. It's not logical. It's not real. It's self-created. And then that battle keeps us from our potential.
We're, a people first company, and people are at the center of everything we do. We're also in the relationship business with our clients, our prospects, and even our employees and vendors. But, I think we both agree that even though we're in the relationship business, a lot of times relationships can't be your one differentiator.
Yeah.
How do I come to grips with that?
Yeah. So I've looked at relationships and tried to address this reality that you're speaking of in the world of financial services, whether it's insurance or wealth advisors. That we also coach wealth advisors, banks, et cetera. In the financial services world, I've looked at relationships. And one of the things that I realized as I was thinking through how important relationships are, because I think they are important. I want trust. I want a relationship where I want a relationship. Anybody I'm going to do business with in those spaces, I want a relationship because that's a lot that I'm putting on the table that I need to trust. However, in analyzing it, one day I realized I've fired 5 relationships in my past. I've fired CPAs, I've fired attorneys, I've fired wealth advisors, I've fired insurance agents. I've fired those people, and I had a relationship with them. So relationship obviously didn't get it done, and I had to move on. So why? And that's what helped me to understand what really matters. It's still relationship, but it's what is in the relationship that matters. I want a relationship with somebody that we are mutually making each other better. I want to know that you're improving and that I'm improving. And if our relationship gets such that neither one of us are getting better and you're holding me back or I'm holding you back, that relationship needs to end from that professional's perspective. Mm-hmm. So I think we have to dig deeper into understanding it's not just I trust you and I know you're not going to steal from me relationship, and I like you and love to play golf with you. I don't think that does much for a business decision, and sometimes even a human decision, because we start getting less and less time. We got to choose who we're spending time with. And so, is the relationship bringing greater value? Am I getting something new? Am I learning something new? Am I being challenged to be my best? These are the kinds of things that we have to think of. So instead of saying, I have a great relationship, my question is, define the details in that. I have a great relationship because Jason always asks me tough questions, challenges me, inspires me, makes me better. Tells me when my baby's ugly, which none of my babies are ugly. You just ask my wife. But I want the truth. I want challenges. I want inspiration. I want education. I want you to teach me things that I don't know, that I can't get on my own. If I get that in a professional financial services relationship, that's a relationship that's going to be hard to break. If it's just we like each other a lot, you're going to get fired at some point because I have needs in my business that need to be met.
Love that. What are some of we've talked about a lot today, but mindset and varying goals and discipline. Who have been some of the most influential mentors in your life? Because we don't do this by ourselves.
Yeah. I gotta. You just exposed a major weakness for me that it's an embarrassment to me. I was the underdog. I was the kid that was told you can't go to college, you can't play sports, you can't. And so I've done all these things, and I've done a lot of cool things, and the list of educational things and financial success and performance and business. I mean, it's a big list, and I'm so blessed by every bit of it. And for about half of my journey, because I was the underdog, I had that mentality that nobody's helping me. It's all me. It's me against the world. I'm the underdog, and y'all go ahead, talk about me, because all that's going to do is motivate me. I had a lot of that going on. And there was a mentor of mine, the gentleman passed away, had a tumor and a brain tumor, and he passed away within a month of finding out. I never got to say goodbye to the guy, but his name was Dan Taylor, and he was one of my coaches at Strategic Coach. And so I was with him one time, and he made a comment about nobody makes it alone. And sometimes even the people in your life that are mentors, you may not even have liked them, but they were honest with you. They were tough with you. They challenged you. They pushed you. And you got to learn that was something that was brought into your life to make you better. So you got to appreciate that. And you can't say this is all on me. I did it myself. You didn't. And so over time, I've learned to do things like, whenever I have boards of directors, I always try to get a few people on there that I totally get frustrated around and disagree with. Why? Because if I have a bunch of people that are going to agree with me, what am I getting? But if I have people that are going to just tell me I'm stupid and tell me I'm wrong and give me I don't have to do what they say. Man, it's going to make me better. And I would tell you that I've had relationships and business relationships that I have sought out that I think you are so different than me, but that's how I'm going to get better. I'm going to grow from that. And I've had some great mentors, people that I've worked with in the industry. Steve Lounsbury was one of the guys that we could just bounce ideas off all the time and be challenged against the world. My wife has been a great teacher to me. I think my spirituality, I've learned a lot from my relationship with Christ and all the things that I've sought out in the world from that perspective. So now my list is massive. I don't know that I could list all the names of people that have influenced, mentored, made me better. I mean, you guys do. I mean, I've not known you a long time, but the time I've been around you, I can promise you, if we spend a couple of minutes, I could dig in and say, oh, well, I'm better at this now. I'm better at that. I've been challenged here. I try to look at every human interaction two ways. One, I want those people to walk away and go, that time with Larry was good. I'm better right now. I feel good about myself. And I want to say I learned something about myself, about others, about the world. And I seek that in every relationship, every single time I get there. I truly want people to walk away and go to somebody else and go, I feel good about myself right now. So
it's fun.
It is. Yes, it is. It's a worthy cause, man.
Having fun and enjoying life is part of the journey, right?
You got it. You
Sure.
got it.
As we look, you've been a lifelong learner, right? What's next for Larry Linne?
Great question. You know, I do a lot of coaching and advising with top executives to help them transition. And, you know, one of my stories is years ago, I wrote my resignation letter. And the reason I did it was because I had been around a lot of other executives that were fighting their departure. And so they were oppressing others around them that would think, hey, I could be in that job someday. They didn't want to do anything to promote them or tell them there's a time frame or whatever because they were afraid. And they were afraid that they didn't know where they were going. And so I wrote my resignation letter, gave it to everybody, and all of a sudden my company just turned into this explosion of people going, well, if he's going to go, then I'm going to learn this and I'm going to do this. Now, my resignation letter was post-dated, but it was clear when these things are done, I can go. And, you know, I would tell you that I don't have a specific date right now and a time right now that I could tell you, but I know what I'm going to. And I'm gonna become a chef. And the only person I'm cooking for is my wife and my kids and my friends.
What kind of food?
I don't know. I want to learn how to cook good stuff, and I want the industry side of this stuff.
Butter cake.
It will probably not be any baking.
Okay.
No dessert?
I want to be a USGA rules official and volunteer at, you know, college and city and state events and go, you know, tell people they're breaking the rules on the golf course. I want to read more. I'd love to do some more writing. I've got a couple more books that I'm in the middle of right now. I've got a farm. I can take care of the farm. I want to work on my fitness and my health. You know, at 62. I've got a lot of physical abuse. The ortho side of me has met a lot of doctors, but the rest of it's healthy. But I want to make sure that I stay healthy. I want a lot more time with my grandkids. So the future for me, I don't need business or financial performance to make me happy. That's not what drives me anymore. And I'm not sure it's driven me for a long time. And it's amazing how when it stops driving you, that's what you get more of.
No, isn't that the craziest thing?
Yeah, I'm blessed. And when you solve people's problems and you care about people and you love people, and that's what I want to do. I just want to do more of that and really invest myself in relationships in my future. So I don't know the timing, but it's definitely in view.
So where can our top performers or people listening find you?
Where can they find me?
Yeah, LinkedIn or how can they contact you?
You can find me. I'm an easy find out there on Google. But yeah, LinkedIn is probably the best place to do a quick identification. I'm on, you know, Instagram. I've got. I don't think I ever look at Facebook. I think I've got an account, but I don't ever look at it anymore. But yeah, you can just find me. You can even find my emails out there and on Google and everything else. You can watch my videos. Intellectual Innovations is a little fun project I have on the side where I write books, and then I have videos out there, you know, every once in a while.
Cool.
But you know, from the insurance world, Insight Performance Group, man, we're here to help people in insurance and wealth advising, and banking. Actually, we've expanded out. So anybody that's looking for that kind of help, would love to support and help them. We got a great team of people that can do some wonderful things.
All right. Well, Larry, thanks for stopping by. Jason, anything?
No, I appreciate it, man. It's always awesome. Connect, for sure.
Yeah, good time.
So we'll be seeing you. So thanks for all your work with us. And
Thank you.
No, I appreciate it, Larry. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Tune in to next week's episode with the leading voice with BuildWit and all things dirt, Randy Blount. This is TMG People First Podcast. See you next week.